There are a lot of gadgets in Brawl Stars. And Poco's protective tunes is the worst. Congratulations, Poco. It's super situational. And even in the right situation, it's not that good. Penny's pocket detonator is also not that good. Like, you fight so hard to get her turret and then you blow it up? I know what you're thinking. Extra damage, Kairos. Extra damage. That brings up a good point. There's 104 gadgets to talk about, so we can't talk about that point. Max's sneaky sneakers. You either die before it actually activates, or you take some damage and heal up, which, by the way, charges the enemy super. Oh, B's rattled hive gadget. It used to be like super good. It's really hard to aim, and enemies that are somewhat decent in the game are equally able to just dodge it. Dynamite's fidget spinner gadget. It's like, cool, what a funny name. You go spinny and you run away. Meanwhile, the enemy pretty much just ignores the fact that there's dynamite everywhere because it's just not very threatening. Oh, Spike's popping pin cushion is like, against stationary targets, you can deal insane amounts of damage, but against most brawlers, you're very rarely gonna get value out of it. Next is Leon's clone projector gadget, which is kind of funny. Like, you immediately recognize that it's a bot. Most of the time you can just kind of ignore it, unless you're a noob, and then you're like, what the heck, there's two of them? Okay, Bo's super totem used to be crazy good, and then it's like, oh, because Nani exists, we have to nerf it into the ground. And now if the enemy team doesn't destroy it, well, it's like, okay, cool, I guess Bo got one free super, which that can actually be pretty scary. Oh wait, except you can just easily disarm it, so not a big deal. Oh my gosh, Bo has two F tier gadgets. They're both so bad. I mean, this one, the delay is just horrendous. It's unlikely that you're gonna get value out of it. But then you have Gale's spring ejector gadget, which this one, I mean, it can make some funny plays, but most of the time it's completely useless. But his other gadget is so good. And it's even better at making cheese plays, so it's like, come on. Okay, next we got Shelly's fast forward gadget. It doesn't jump you over walls like Brock's does. It doesn't go crazy far like Carl's does. It doesn't make her invincible like Max's does. Shelly is one of the worst brawlers in the game, and it's literally the worst dash, which I'm actually kind of okay with because otherwise she'd be insane. Next is Rico's multi-ball launcher, which is only useful if enemies get really close to you and they happen to be in like a really close corridor, which just doesn't happen very often. We've also got recoiling rotator for Daryl, and Daryl mains out there. Please don't be mad at me. I don't dislike Daryl. This gadget just rarely charges a super very much. I mean, he's got an auto charging super, just like hang out for like 3 more seconds. Okay, next we got Eve's motherly love gadget, which I feel like should be good on paper, but it's incredibly difficult to time and know exactly when your team's actually going to need health. So F tier seems to make sense for it. Similarly, we have Sandy's sleep stimulator gadget, which is kind of similar. It's hard to time and you kind of have to be protected and safe. And honestly, a lot of these F tier gadgets just get completely outshined by their better alternatives for each of the brawler, except for Bo. He just has 2 sucky gadgets. Speaking of sucky things, I don't have 1 million subscribers yet. I know I have a lot more subscribers than most people do, but I get 4, 5, sometimes 6 million views every single month. I mean, clearly you guys like my videos. I'm trying to reach 1 million subscribers by the end of this year, and I would really appreciate your guys' support. Starting off in the C tier is Tick's Mine Mania gadget. That's the one that, you know, throws 3 extra mines on his next attack. It's like, Tick's attack's already super easy to avoid, so it's twice as easy to avoid. I don't think that's how this works, but I'm gonna roll with it. Okay, next is Terra's Psychic Enhancer, and I will admit, on maps with lots of bushes, this can come in pretty clutch. It really can. Most of the time, her other gadget's better though. Oh man, BB's extra sticky gadget. When this came out, I was like, this is gonna be awesome. It has a whole 2 seconds of slow. And then I remembered that Crow's gadget slows people for 5 seconds. That's more than twice the slow. So yeah, C tier. And also C tier, we've got Belle's reverse polarity. You get 1 shot to bounce off the walls. It might hit the enemy, it might not. You might just shoot it to bounce it off a wall because that's fun. Okay, Ash's rotten banana. This is where he takes his health and consumes it for rage. And honestly, this is actually really good if he has a teammate that can heal him, and then he's like insane. But otherwise, it's not really worth it most of the time. Okay, next we have Amber's fire starters, and it does give her a little bit of a speed boost, and it does put a pool behind her, but it's not offensive. It's strictly like, let's put some oil behind me where the enemy team's never going to go, which is, well, you can see why I'm putting in the C tier. Next, El Primo's asteroid belt. And the thing about this is you can't aim it, and it usually will destroy walls. And El Primo really likes his walls. He's like, I'm gonna hide behind this wall so I can come around the corner and peek around and get close to the enemy team. Oh great, my asteroid destroyed the wall. Now I'm gonna die. Kona Ruff's air support is kind of the same. Luckily, it doesn't destroy walls, but you can't aim it. And as soon as it starts dropping on the ground, people are like, oh, I guess I'll just move away from there. Oh, I forgot about Jean's Vengeful Spirits. That's definitely going in the F tier. It does little damage. People can just hide behind the walls. I mean, I have seen a highly competitive match where somebody brought the wrong gadget and activated it, and it was able to kill somebody, and it was like, oh, that's really sad. So I mean, it's kind of useful, which is why I put it up in kind of F, C tier-ish. Next is Lou's Ice Block gadget. This is the one where he becomes invincible, but he can't move, and not being able to move makes him such an easy target. Plus, the invincibility is only 1 second. There are some cool plays you can do with it, but it's not that great. Next, we have Griff's Piggy Bank, and this is great for destroying walls, but very rarely are you actually going to be able to use it for offense. So if you need to destroy walls, it's like, okay, cool, I've got a gadget for that. But if you need it for anything else, I mean, you can use it for defense and hope that people don't run away from the piggy bank, but it's just unlikely to happen unless you're facing off against a Mortis. Next is Grom's Radio Check gadget, which is kind of useful if the enemy player just like, for some reason, decides to stand completely still and gets hit by all 3 of them. But most of the time that's not going to happen, so it's useful in heist, but other than that, you just don't bother with it. Then we have Squeak's Residue, which reveals sections of the bush, but the area that it reveals is tiny, so it's not that great. Then we have his wind-up toy, which covers a massive range, but it's not very easy to hit. I mean, it's super unpredictable. Like, when do you know exactly that somebody's going to be 2 screens away from you when you activate this ability? Like, it just doesn't happen that often. Now, if it did extra damage as well, that would be talking. Okay, then we have El Primo's Suplex Supplement, and honestly, I used to think that this was just useless. It was just like, whatever, but you know, it's got its use cases, and it's kind of fun. You can interrupt supers, so like, if Rico's firing off a super, he fires off 1 bolt, and you throw him, and then his entire super's wasted. So, I mean, it can be useful. Next is Nita's Bear Paws. Now, this only works if she has her super up, so already it's half as useful as a lot of these gadgets. And then also it has a really slow range, and it's unlikely that you're actually going to hit anybody with it. When it does, it's pretty great, but most of the time it doesn't. And at the top of the C tier, we have Jesse's Recoil Spring gadget, which is very easy to avoid and isn't that great against enemy players, but against an enemy safe. Oh man, safes don't usually cry, but she's known to make it happen. We're up to the B tier, and it's been a while since I've done this, so let me just clear my throat a little bit because I've been sick a little bit. Kairos, code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. Support my channel using code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop, especially if you like this video. Man, I must have eaten something strange because I'm in a weird mood today. Starting the B tier is Penny's Captain's Compass gadget. Deals some decent damage, some small area control, pretty average overall, I'd say. Okay, Nani's Warp Blast is like amazing. You can teleport way across the map, makes her faster than any other brawler in the game, but it sacrifices a super, which may or may not be good. I mean, it's usually not good, and sometimes she'll actually like try to assassinate somebody and then just dying, or maybe that's just me when I try to use it. Okay, next is Mr. P's Porter Reinforcements, where his attack will spawn a Porter, and the Porter's super weak. Also, damage it does is like pretty easy to ignore, but there's some brawlers like Piper or like Tick that really struggle with this, so it's like, it has its place to use. Also in the B tier is Buzz's Reserve Buoy, which gets him a free super, which is awesome, but it doesn't stun the enemies. As you can see, there are a lot of trade-offs for these B tier gadgets. Like they can be good and actually really good, but only in the right situations. But in more situations than the C tier gadgets. Okay. 8-Bit's extra credits can deal insane damage, but it's usually pretty easy to avoid. Okay, Jesse's Spark Plug is amazing. Getting people slowed down is just so good, but it only works when you have a super out, and it usually only works as soon as you throw the super out, and usually that means you're going to be close to enemy brawlers. That means they're going to be able to attack your turret and get rid of it. So yeah, B tier makes sense for that one. Bull's Stomper gadget is also kind of like that. He has to have a super, so it's not always useful, but it does often slow people and usually allows him to position himself a lot better with the super, which is a pretty great trade-off. Pam's Pulse Modulator gadget is a little bit better. It requires a super, but it's more likely that you'll actually have it in a safe place to use it, but it does require teammates to go inside the range of the turret and for you to activate it when it's necessary, so it's not always amazing. Okay, next is BB's Vitamin Booster gadget. Am I the only one that has ever activated this gadget and then died before I got healed from it? Has that never happened to you guys? No, you guys are all better at the game than I am, apparently. Okay, Edgar's Let's Fly gadget allows him to charge up his super fast. It's always useful for him to charge up the super, but it takes a long time for him to get that super. So, you know, B tier makes sense for Edgar's. It also makes sense for his Hardcore gadget as well, right? It can only be activated, well, I mean, you can activate it whenever, but it's best to activate it right after he's taken just a little bit of a damage, and then he's going to be able to like absorb some damage and then heal up with his punches. It requires really good timing, and it can be amazing, but only in the perfect situation. Otherwise, the health just slowly decays and you waste it. Okay, Bull's T-Bone Injector gadget. Get that health as soon as you need it, whenever you need it. It's super simple. I love it. but it doesn't provide the most healing compared to a lot of gadgets. So B tier makes sense for it. Okay, next we have Emz's acid spray that allows her attack to go through walls. And I thought this was going to be like amazing, and it's pretty good. This doesn't give as much value as I thought it would. I mean, B tier is great. It's pretty average, so that's fine. Supercell's probably looking at it and thinking, man, we did a good job balancing that one. There's Fang's roundhouse kick. We'll talk about that later. But first is Fang's Corn Fu. It does a little bit of damage. It can be useful in sometimes, but it's not that amazing. Okay, now Mr. P has 2 gadgets in the B tier. However, his service bell is just a little bit better, making that turret or that porter just stronger. It provides a little bit more value, I think. So that's why I like this one. Okay, next we have Byron's booster shot, which at first I thought wasn't gonna be that good. And then I thought it was gonna be amazing. And now I feel like it's just right in the middle. It's useful for checking bushes, and it does a lot of damage if you use it at close range, but usually Byron's gonna die if he's at close range. And if you kill the person after you die, like, okay, cool. But his, honestly, his is average. Next is Jackie's pneumatic booster. It makes her faster, helps her get closer to enemies, which is very predictable. And sometimes it's great, but you know, there are better options for going fast, like a level 3 speed gear. You guys have those, right? Didn't think so. Next we have Colette's Nah-Uh gadget. Increases that next attack by 100 damage. It is great for finishing off those lower HP brawlers. However, you usually play Colette against tankier brawlers, and that extra 1000 damage against those tanky brawlers isn't always that useful. I mean, extra damage is always useful, but yeah, just average usefulness. B tier. Oh my word, lose cryo syrup gadget. It is so good if you get enemies frozen with this thing. However, you do require a super up, and the enemies have to be inside of it, which means it's not always that useful. So B tier sounds good for it. Okay, next we got Colt's speed loader gadget, and it's pretty good. Like, you can reload that ammo, and when you need it, that's great. It's really good in heists, but otherwise I'd usually go with his others. So B tier seems good for it as well. Okay, next we got Daryl's tar barrel gadget. Man, nobody is going to be able to escape you if you roll into them and you activate this and you didn't miss. Just hope they're not Shelly with their super and you'll be just fine. Okay, Crow's defense booster gadget is good. It really is. It gives you that extra defense that you need. However, Crow typically is not best played jumping onto people. I know they call him an assassin. He's more a control brawler now. He really is. That's how you best play Crow at the moment. So this isn't always that great, except for in Showdown. He dominates in Showdown with this. Okay, Frank's irresistible attraction gadget is funny because, like, some brawlers you really want to bring those enemies to you, but there are other brawlers that you would much rather them have to actually aim their shots than be right next to you, or like, oh my gosh, don't pull a Shelly with this one. The extra damage from it is nice, however, so B tier makes sense. Okay, now I'm doing something a little controversial. I'm putting Mortis's combo spinner, the gadget that I primarily use most of the time when I'm playing Mortis, in the B tier, and his other one's going in the A tier. So oh my word, that's crazy. This is instant gratification. This is easiest gadget to use. However, his other one does provide more value, so a more skilled player will be able to deal more damage with his other one, his what's it called, survival shovel. Okay, Nita's Faux gadget. This one gives her bear a shield, and it is useful pretty much anytime she can get her super out there, because like people, they see that bear coming down and they're like, oh, I know where I'm gonna attack. I'm gonna shoot all my ammo right there as soon as that bear lands, because nobody wants a bear in their business unless you like that kind of thing. I don't even know what that means. B tier for that one. Okay, moving on. Poco's healing thing. What is this called? Poco's tuning fork. Oh, we can heal the whole team. That's right. This one is great. I love this one. But rarely do you bunch all of your people up together and then activate and get max benefit out of it. When you do, oh man, that's great. But B tier makes sense to that. Okay, where's Rosa here? Grow Light is this one, okay? She puts down bushes. It's great for her on some maps sometimes, but it's also useful for the enemy team on maps sometimes. So B tier. Okay, Sprout's Garden Mulcher heals him, makes him pretty strong, especially if he pairs it with the right star power. However, it does require a bush, and he has to eat that bush. And Sprout likes bushes, so you know, B tier makes sense for that. I am feeling weird. Okay, don't put that in the video. That would just be embarrassing. Lola's stunt double. I have yet to see this be used like amazingly 3 times in a match. It's cool. You teleport. It's fun. Teleporting's fun. Everybody loves teleporting. But do you get use out of it 3 times every single time you play a match? Maybe some of you guys do. So that's cool. We are in the A tier, and starting off we have, Transplant. Sprout. Oh, I love this. Sometimes Sprout's walls can be so incredibly frustrating, and then right before they blow up and the enemy team is like, oh my gosh, thanks for getting rid of that, Sprout destroys it and replants one in the exact same spot. and the enemy team loses their mind. It's awesome. I love this gadget. It's in the A tier. Along with Brock's rocket laces, my word, he can jump like none other. It deals damage. He jumps away. He can get over walls. He looks cool doing it. Okay, Shelly's clay pigeons. Has anybody like used to think that this was just like a useless gadget, and then you realize how much damage she can deal from such a far distance away because of projectiles? They're super fast. You can just auto aim them most of the time. Sometimes I think Shelly's attack should always be like that. No, I don't. Please. No, don't do that, Supercell, please. Okay, Piper's auto aimer gadget is like, it's awesome, okay? It slows them down, gives her some time to get away, pushes them back, feels, okay, don't use this for damage. Oh, also, we have Nani's return to sender gadget. It is ridiculously strong against the right brawlers. Like, who plays Piper and they're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna aim this shot, it's gonna be perfect, and then, oh, I'm actually gonna purposely miss that so that I don't accidentally get hit by that return to sender gadget from Nani. Nobody does that. They're always going for max damage, right? And so that's why this thing is just so incredibly good. Just don't activate it too early or people will ignore you. And I really don't like being ignored. And here we have it, survival shovel from Mortis. Everybody that's better at playing Mortis than I am uses this one and they always kill me with it, so that's why it's in the A tier. Then we have Ash's chill pill gadget. Like, Ash takes so much damage all the time, and there are so many clutch moments when you activate that, and he has tons of HP, and it just makes me want to put it in the A tier. Okay, Meg's jolting volts gadget is really good. It makes her mech can just stay alive for so much longer. However, the thing is, you have to be really careful not to waste this, okay? And I know you guys are good at Brawl Stars, and that makes me feel like I can justify putting in the A tier. Okay, Carl's flying hook gadget. This thing is so good. You can fly so far with it, and then enemies can't run away from you. Like, and you can escape. It makes Carl so fun to play. I love it. Okay, I feel like Grom used to be like insanely good. Then they nerfed him, and like everybody's like, I'm not gonna play Grom, but on maps where there's a lot of bushes, this gadget Watchtower is just insanely good. I mean, it's crazy. Just not as crazy as Frank's noise cancellation gadget. You think you're gonna interrupt his super, he activates this, then activates his super. You waste your super trying to disrupt his. That's great. Okay, shot in the arm for Byron. Byron's insane because when he needs to fall back to like actually heal, he doesn't have to completely fall back. He can just fall back a little bit and then focus on healing his teammates. So activating this to heal himself while he's healing his teammates, it's a great gadget. And I think that it's the stronger one out of his two right now. And the stronger of the two gadgets for Belle is definitely her nest egg. That trap, man, it's sneaky. People forget it's there. You can't disarm it like you can with bows, so I feel like that makes sense for A tier for her. Next is Barley's sticky syrup mixer. This is a great way to counter a lot of brawlers that think that they're going to kill Barley by getting up close to him. And honestly, Barley has two great gadgets, both in the A tier. His herbal tonic, I mean, the healing that he can get, it's really a toss-up which one you want to use. It's gonna kind of depend on what enemies you're going to be facing or what the brawlers are that are going to be on your team. Or if you have a quest that tells you that you have to heal with Barley for some reason, like I did the other day. Apparently, Supercell thinks he's a healer. I really like Colt's silver bullet gadget. It doesn't deal as much damage as it used to. However, it does completely reshape the map however Colt wants it to. And that's especially useful on Heist, which is where you're going to be playing Colt anyway. Tick's last hurrah gadget is amazing. It covers the one weakness that he has, which is brawlers getting up close to him and deals damage and blows them away. And you can do it predictably so that they will land in your mines if you're a pro, which I clearly am. I do that all the time when I'm playing Tick. Also, same thing with Jean's lamp blowout gadget. I mean, it's the same thing. I don't know why he likes to pull brawlers to him and then blow them away. It's like, make up your mind, Gene. I don't know what you're doing, but it's a great play to do. I use it all the time without thinking about it. But even better is M's. I just realized they are the same gadget icon. Whoa, Supercell. Oh boy. The cool thing about M's is though, is that she can actually push enemies into another attack with it, which is, I mean, that still a lot of damage. Okay, Colonel Ruff's take cover gadget is like, it's so good against the right targets. Whenever an enemy picks Rico, I pick Colonel Ruff's, and then I use this to counter them. And every single time, like, Colonel Ruff should lose against Rico, except for this gadget makes him so good. I love this one, A tier for sure. Oh, Brock's rocket fuel. It's like Colt's, but it's way better. And also, it does so much damage, and it makes it way harder for him to actually miss his shots. Like, you can just like auto aim with this thing. I don't auto aim, but I've heard you can do it. Oh man, then there's Tara's support from Beyond gadget. This thing is so good. It's just like Colonel Ruff's is, except that they literally chase after enemies, which is even better as well in some situations. I guess they do like die after a while, so keep that in mind. Next is Eve's gotta go gadget. This thing is so good. She can use it to escape and drop a little dude, and sometimes you just need to want to spawn the extra dude because it's the end of a match. You want to flex how many little dudes you have on the ground. Whatever it takes to assert dominance, okay? And then there's Rose's unfriendly bushes, which reveals everybody hiding in bushes. I mean, you're gonna play her on maps with a lot of bushes anyway, so this is just like, it's really excellent. It's kind of like Tara's psychic enhancer that is way down somewhere. Here it is. It's way down in the C tier, except that it slows them, which is pretty much certain death if there's a Terra next to you and you're slowed and you're hiding in a bush. Okay, Stu's speed zone gadget. You place it so far back on the map that the enemy team, it's like useless for them to take the time to actually try and destroy it. And it makes it so that your whole team can respawn and get back into action faster, which is, it's amazing. But honestly, his breakthrough gadget is also amazing, which is why I'm putting them both in the A tier, because I couldn't decide which one I like more. And breakthrough is definitely the more surprising one. It's like you activate it, you super, you kill people. Like it's awesome. It just doesn't provide the whole benefit for the entire team, the entire match, which is a reminder that Bo has 2 F tier gadgets. Then we have Colette's Gotcha, which heals her, and the healing time period lasts so long that yes, it's more useful against tanky brawlers, but it's also really useful against squishy brawlers, which is why it's so great. Then is Lola's freeze frame gadget, which soaks up so much damage. That's the other thing. You throw Lola's, it's like Nita's bear, except that it takes even more damage. That's insane. And finally, in the A tier, we have 8-Bit's cheat cartridge. This one takes some skill to use. However, unlike a lot of teleports that are not useful 3 times plus per match, it's pretty easy to get a lot of value out of this one. Up next is the S tier, and starting us off, we've got Dynamikes. Oh my word, this gadget is insane. In fact, it is one of the most unfair gadgets in the game. Dynamike hides in bush, Dynamike activates gadget. Dynamike waits until he knows he can for sure hit the enemy target, which is kind of impossible unless you're as amazing at the game as I am. Enemy gets stunned and then is blown up by Dynamite and everybody else that is gonna attack him. It is a team killer and it is unfair. Also in the S tier is Gale's Twister. This is the most cheeseball gadget in the game and it's so good on the right map in the right mode. It's just, you can't do anything against, there are actual map maker maps that are all made around the fact that Gale is just going to use this, and it's very sad if you're trying to complete quests in the map maker. Oh, I forgot about this teleport. Surge's power surge, it's insane. Like, you have to just stay away from walls, or you have to stay away from Surge anywhere. You have to stay super far away. It doesn't matter what level he is. If he has not used all 3 of his gadgets, he's gonna kill you. Max is fast, and she dashes, and she gets invincibility. Are you kidding me? Shelly, look at that. Yeah, you see that? That all you need is invincibility, and then your dash will be an S tier, just like Max's. Oh my gosh, Leon's Lollipop Crop gadget is also insane. Like it's S tier for a reason. If you put it in the right spot, it will give your team dominance in the first 30 seconds of the match, and the middle 30 seconds of the match, and the final 30 seconds of the match, which by the way is a minute and a half. I don't know if you were able to do that math along with me, but the average match is about a minute and a half. So like it's crazy good. You have to kill it. The enemy team has to kill it or they're gonna lose unless your team just sucks. Piper's homemade recipe is so sweetly given to her enemies and will kill them. Yeah, this is also unfair. There are straight up situations where it is impossible to dodge it. It just takes a little bit of skill and pressing the right green button at the right moment. So I should call the S tier just like the unfair tier. Man, why is this thing not gotten nerfed yet? Okay, we got Spike's life plant gadget. It blocks so much HP, like as much as Spike's health is, and then it heals him and all of his teammates. Oh, and his team can attack through it and yours can't. So that's cool. Also cool is getting stunned by Sandy's attack and not being able to do anything. I don't know if this one's actually as unfair. Like you could play around this one a little bit more. Sandy Sweet Dreams. It's not Sweet Dreams. What's it called? It is Sweet Dreams. That stun's also really good. So S tier there. Oh, and Pam's Scrap Sucker. This thing will win you 1v1s against every single brawler in the game except for Carl and B. Doesn't seem to matter how fast your reload speed is. This thing's a beast. Also in the S tier is, oh man, Rico's Bouncy Castle. This thing, the stats on this, like when it was first released, were insane. And I was like, dude, Supercell, you gotta nerf the heck out of this. Like 70% nerf to it. And they've nerfed it a little bit. They've nerfed it a little bit more. And they'll probably nerf it a little bit more. They should, because this thing's insane. S tier all the way. Did I mention Crow's slowing toxin gadget earlier? Oh, I just cut off half. Okay, magically fixed. It didn't take me 3 minutes. Yeah, 5 seconds slow from Crow's. Like, come on. That's the whole enemy team even. I think the only reason this has gone under the radar for so long is the fact that Crow just isn't that great without this gadget. Okay, I'm realizing as I'm looking at this, before I talk about the #1 gadget in the game right now, there are 2 that I forgot to place. B's Honey Molasses star power in the B tier, which I should have put right next to Bowls, and Carl's Heat Ejector gadget, which should have been in the F tier. This thing is useless. Don't use it. And the #1 best gadget in the game. Can we get a roundhouse of applause for Roundhouse kick for Fang. Ah, that joke was... Well, I've made worse ones this video. This gadget's insane. It needs to be nerfed as soon as possible. It's way too strong. It literally makes Fang the most OP brawler in the game right now, at least in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree with me. But that right there, that is the screenshot. You guys, but wait, before you do the screenshot, let me just like pose for you and be like, yeah, you're definitely gonna crop my face out of that. Anyway, that is the tier list for all the gadgets from worst to best. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Is there a gadget you think should be higher? Is there one that should be lower? I know this video is long, but I've been recording for an hour and a half and I'm super hungry and there's pizza on the other side of that door. So I'm gonna go eat that. But while I'm going to eat that pizza, make sure to subscribe for some more awesome Brawl Stars content right here. Help me reach that 1 million subscribers. Also check out my Clash Mini and my Free Fire. I don't remember which one is which, but this is another Brawl Stars video right here. Subscribe to all of them. I appreciate you guys' support so much. For now, this is KairosTime taking bye. We will see you in Brawl Stars.